Hello, welcome. My name is Philip Elwood. I'm building a greenhouse in my backyard. When we were building the greenhouse, we decided to use wood shingles because we thought that wood shingles would look attractive in this location. And also, wood shingles are surprisingly affordable for a job like this. Wood shingles take quite a lot of time to install, but the cost of the shingles is quite reasonable. So, I like that. So we're going to be showing you how to put shingles on a corner like this, because I think that is an attractive way to do a corner. The other way you can do a corner is you can get two little pieces of 1x3 like this and put the piece of 1x3 right on the corner and then just butt all the shingles up, just like those ones are butted up to that piece of 1x3. That's a quick and easy way to do it, but if you want to look a little nicer, you can do it this way. We'll be getting to that in a few minutes. Now, I really like shingles for another reason. I remember back when I was a little kid, which was a good many decades ago, I was looking at some shingles on my father's cottage, and those shingles looked like they were completely worn out because they were close to the sea and the weather was getting at them. And that was like 40 years ago, and those shingles are still there. And it's like old decrepit shingles lasted a further 40 years. So these shingles here probably last a good long time. Okay, the first thing that we do for putting shingles on is I like to put something underneath the shingles. And a lot of time people use Tyvek and modern products like this, but where this is a greenhouse and there's no interior space in the wall, I don't have to worry about inside ventilation very much. So we're just going to use tar paper instead. I'm going to put a little piece up there. I already measured it 4.5 inches. So I just take a mark with my ruler here at 4.5 inches and go with my knife, and it should cut nice and easily right across there. And I take the little piece of tar paper, and the tar paper already has a bit of a curl in it. So we put it with the curl so that the edges want to go down. And just come up here, and I get this in as nice as I can under the corner there. Go right to the end. And put it in with a few staples to hold it there. We'll put more staples in that later. Now, another thing that we have to do to space the shingles is know how high up on the wall to put them. So to do that, you can see that I put a chalk line along here. And the chalk line shows where the bottom edge of the shingles goes. And you can see also that I'm doing this corner. I've done all the other 3 corners, and I'm working on the 4th corner now. So we're going to do the corners first. And that way, when we put chalk lines between the corners will all be at the same level and get nice straight lines on our courses of shingles. The next thing we're going to do is work in this corner here. So I have everything assembled here. So the first thing I did was, when I finished this last course here, this is the last shingle that I put on. So I wrote an F on it. F stands for first. That's to remind me that the shingle on this side starts on the side that has the F. I'm just going to go over to this box here. And I have a box of shingles that came out of a package of shingles that I got. And I pick out a shingle that is approximately the right width for the job. Now you can see this shingle has a lot of knots in it. So this side here has a knot, so this is the clear side here. So we're going to be planing this side, so we'll mark it so that we're planing away the side that doesn't have any knots. Take a pencil here. I have a nice carpenter's pencil because it's hard to write on shingles sometimes. So I use a carpenter pencil so that it marks better. Now I have a guide here. This guide is exactly the same height as the amount that we want to have the shingles to the weather. And I can even put a level on it here to get it nice and level. So you can see that's the last course of shingles there. So I'm going to put this course on here. So I put this on. My fingers touching the bottom of the shingle, so I have this at exactly the right height. And I turn this so that the bubble's level. And then I put my shingle on here. I can even make a mark with my pencil there to remind me where it goes. I put the shingle on, like so. Remember I said that we were going to put the knots on the inside so that we don't have to plane it? And I hold that just where it's supposed to be. Now I take my carpenter's pencil and I mark a line on the back, like that. And I make some more lines. Now I'm going like that to make nice clear lines, because sometimes it's hard to write on a shingle, especially if they're wet or frozen or anything. So now I have a nice little line here to follow. So I come over here to my circular saw. I think the circular saw is the easiest way to cut these. It would be really nice if I had a table saw for this job, but I don't have a table saw down here, so I'm going to use a circular saw. So I just line the saw up here like this. See how my fingers are on one side of this, so my fingers aren't getting anywhere near the circular saw blade. And this blade is set so that it's only cutting a narrow distance, because we're not actually even cutting the straight line. You might notice I shifted my fingers from in front to behind as the saw moved along. Now if you look at this shingle closely, you can see there's the line that I marked, and I went a little bit on the outboard side of that line because we're going to shave some of that away, and we want it to be exactly flush when we're done. So I come back over here, nice little thing to kneel on here, and I put the shingle in the spot that it's meant to go. And I can just double check that height again by using my spacer stick here. Then I take my goggles on. Put a couple of staples in. Once those staples are in, that shingle's not going to move anymore. Now I've got an electric planer here. So with an electric planer, there's not very much torque on this as I'm planing it. But if you're using a hand plane, it's a good idea to put a third staple in there so that it doesn't move when you're planing it. I'm going to take this planer and I'm going to plane this off to make it flush with the wall of this other shingle. Okay, that's just about flush. Now we get another shingle from our box of shingles, and again I have them organized here so I can pick out the width that I want. So we get a shingle that's approximately the right width already. I put it in place. Its bottom goes parallel with the bottom of that last shingle. Then I take my carpenter's pencil and mark it the same way. Make a line down like that, and then some little jag lines in case this line isn't clear. Now I go back over to our table saw. This time I have to start with the thin end of the shingle when I'm sawing it. Put your fenders back on. Now you have to cut off the excess wood. You see again, I left a little bit extra on the line. And this goes back exactly in the position that we marked it. And we put a couple of staples in it as well. If you don't have a stapler, of course you can use shingle nails. It's a lot faster to use a stapler if you have one. Same with the electric planer. Right, now I'm going to plane this off so it's flush with this one. Oh, and I'm going to mark an F on this so I remember to put the next shingle on this side. So now that's nice and flush, and that quarter is pretty well finished. Now the old timers, they like to drill a little pilot hole here and a little tiny shingle nail and put a shingle nail in here to hold that corner together. But if you're using staples, you can just do this if you want to steady up the corner. You can go, like the nicest place I think is to go underneath here so it's not very noticeable. You're not even trying to hit the other shingle, you're hitting the wood inside there. You can see that staple isn't very noticeable, but it's holding that a lot more firmly. So we'll put those in all of those before we're finished. Now when we put the next course on, instead of using my stick to measure the distance, because I've already done like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, after a while there's going to be a little bit of inaccuracy because it's a little eighth of an inch different each time. So I can get my tape measure, come over here, and measure the approximate height of the next course. So that's about 23 inches. Now this is the first corner that I did over here. So I'll measure this, and there will be a shingle that's close to 23 inches. It's actually 23 1/8. So let's come over here and measure up 23 1/8 inches. And I'll make a little mark there. and that's where our next course of shingles will go. The reason we do that is so that we don't get a little creeping air and get one side of the shingles up higher than the other. Well, that's my video, and good luck shingling.